Good morning, church. Welcome to worship. It has been an incredible day of worship, and we are a church of life change, and we got to celebrate that last service. Two of our incoming 7th graders, Jace and Jagger, got in the tank, and their stories are so cool. And it has been really cool to walk with them the past year and just see God just completely change their lives in the presence of community. So can we give it a hand for life change that happened today? Yes, so cool, so cool. So we are in the midst of our Summer at the River series, and I love summer, mainly because I hate winter. Because I'm in a bad mood from like November 5th to like March 27th. And man, when I have to scrape off my car, like I'm gonna talk about it for the next hour. I'm just gonna sit in my car frustrated. Like I hate cold weather, and so summer has also been an incredible time of family memories, and I've had a lot of my own encounters with God during this summer, and this summer has been no different. This has been a big summer, so I want to give you all a little bit of a summer recap if I can. So if you follow with me. My summer started in early June at Kings Island. I took 27 8th grade boys and let them run loose in an amusement park. And none of them died, none of them threw up, and they all returned home. So that's a victory if I think there is one. Those 8th grade boys are real special to me, so getting summer moments with them is just so cool. And then the next week, I hopped over to Shiloh Park with a lot of our team, a lot of you all, to help out with Camp Kids Creek and VBS. And let me tell you all, camp is my jam. There is something about that last verse of Herman the Worm with like barbecue sauce in my hair from our last game and the half a voice left, like that just reminds me I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and God just knows me so well. So camp was really awesome, yeah. And then after 1 week of camp, there's another week of camp, because we went to NTS camp with our students, and we took home the trophy again, which was so fun because, friends, we were not leading at any point in the week until the very last day. Like, come from behind win. Year 2, I was like, there's no way this is happening again. This is so cool. But testimonies like Jace and Jagger are just the tip of the iceberg of the life change that happened at camp. We're actually gonna have 3 more weeks of baptisms about students from their encounters with God in camp. So God just up to something really, really cool. Yeah. And so Matthew has entrusted me this summer to land the plane, but there's one extra special part of this summer for me. I forgot about this during 8:45 service, so luckily Elizabeth wasn't here and it wasn't recorded, but I got married this summer. It was something really, really special. Elizabeth and I had done long distance for 2 years. We met at camp. Again, camp is my jam. And there's something so special about marriage, especially from being long distance for 2 years, getting to do the simple things that we probably should have already done, but just weren't able to do being long distance, like having dinner 2 nights in a row together, or coming home from work and she's there, or this like a random thought in my head that I really want to tell someone. She gets to hear it. So marriage has just been so awesome, and Elizabeth is now a part of our River Church family. So if you've never got a chance to meet Elizabeth, I guarantee you a conversation with her is guaranteed to bring more light and joy to your day. I love her a lot. So Matthew has entrusted me to land the plane here at Summer at the River, and I'm going to go start where we've been starting this whole series, our theme verse, Matthew 5:14 through 16, that says, "You are light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So I'm at the cool part of marriage right now where everything's new, including our stuff, right? And so we got to unwrap all the registry stuff, and Elizabeth and I fight over the chair on our kitchen table that has the kitchen view, so we can like look at our things and like, we are adults and all of this is ours. It's really fun. And as we were unwrapping things, we came to the butter dish. Now, back in my bachelor days, I had like a $2 Meyer plastic butter dish that like housed butter, and I didn't think much of it. But now we have like the Anthropology butter dish that's like ceramic and has the fancy design. We are bougie in the Kauerauf household now. And as we were unwrapping it, I was like, okay, like this goes in the shelf because that's where my plastic butter dish had gone. And Elizabeth was like, what are you doing? Like, this does not go in the shelf. Like, this is front and center for people to see. This is our bougie, fine china butter dish. Like, and so now we cannot wait till we're at a point where we can have guests over where we need to have butter, so we can be like, do you need some butter? Look at the ceramics, right? But if we can get this idea of we want things out that matter to us, we get this idea with butter, we get this idea with lamps, we can get it with our faith. Because light doesn't shine when it's hidden. Light doesn't shine when it's hidden. You see, light is prolonged. And so it doesn't say, like, let your spark shine before men, let your firework shine before men. No, it says, let your light. Light is prolonged. We have prolonged light that has lit up this worship center the entire time. Light requires more than just a moment. But a lot of us, when we think of our let your light shine before others moments, that's all we wanted them to be, just moments. Right? Serve Day was super, super awesome. And I'm so proud of our church for loving in action. But if we just serve our community one day a year, and there's 11,000 people that are never going to know the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're never going to change our city with one day a year. I'm standing up here just absolutely, utterly thankful the way God provided for our kids and students, and through you all, that every single kid, every single student that wanted to go to camp, regardless of financial situation, was able to go to camp. But guys, a kid isn't going to have a faith that goes past high school by just 1 week of summer. Light is prolonged. Going, sharing our faith is long term. It's not just a moment, because go isn't just a moment, it's an investment. Go is an investment. And when I think of this idea of investment, I am brought to a passage in the book of Matthew. That's a parable that Jesus shared on his last week of his life. And he had told the story of a master and his 3 servants. Now, this master was leaving and entrusted his money to his servants and expected that they would do something with it. So he comes back after his time away and seeing what they did with their money. And we pick up here in the book of Matthew, chapter 25, where we read these words. After a long time, their master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used his money. The servant who had entrusted the 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more. The master was full of praise. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling the small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. The servant who had received the 2 bags of silver came forward and said, Master, you give me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more. The master said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in handling the small amount, so now we'll give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. And so now the 3rd servant is up, and you think it's going to be the same, but it's not. I love how the message says it. The message says, the servant given 1,000 said, Master, I know you have high standards and hate careless ways, that you demand the best and make no allowances for error. I was afraid I might disappoint you. So I found a good hiding place and secured your money. Here it is, safe and sound, down to the last cent. The master was furious. That is a terrible way to live. It's criminal to live this cautiously like that. If you knew I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? The least you could have done would have been to invest the sum with the bankers, where at least I would have gotten a little interest. take this 1,000 and give it to the one who has risked the most, and get rid of this, play it safe, who won't go out on a limb. Throw him into utter darkness. You see, this passage a lot of times is used to talk about money, because money's involved, but I think it's so much more than just that. Because you see, this money wasn't anything the servants earned. They weren't owed it. It was something that was given to them. They didn't earn it. And so this is much more than just money. What we're talking about here is stewardship. Stewardship is doing what we do with what we have been given. And so the people we have in our lives have been given to us. We haven't been given the people in our lives because we deserve it. They're gifts. Same thing with the places we work, the communities we live in, the spiritual gifts that we have. The gift is right in the title. And so we steward much more than money. We steward all of that. So when you think of this idea of sharing our faith, we've talked about making a difference and that you're the right person for the job. And that's the way of Jesus. And I want to add this last point. Investing in others is a stewardship issue. It's an issue of what we are going to do with what we have been given. God has gifted this all to us, and now he says, okay, you do something with it. Do something with your workplace. Do something with your kids. Do something with what I've been given, what I have given you. And so, Esther got this. If you look back in the Old Testament, Esther said, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows, but you may have come to your royal position," fill in royal position with your workplace, your family, your neighborhood, "for such a time as this." For such a time as this. And so you may be tracking with me this whole way and be like, but I'm not going to invest in others because, and I want to give you 4 probably the most common becauses here. One reason we often don't invest in others is because we don't think we're good enough. I don't think we're good enough. The third servant didn't invest, and he said this is why. "Master, I know you have high standards and hate careless ways, that you demand the best and make no allowances for error. I was afraid I might disappoint you, so I found a good hiding place and secured your money. Here it is, safe and sound, down to the last cent." You have high standards. I was afraid I might disappoint you. Have you ever thought those words about God? Thinking, you have that picture in your mind of that person that is the giant of the faith. And they can sing, they can play guitar, they can preach, they have a voice that just people want to hear, and people like to hear them. And whenever they talk, it's just Jesus just comes out of them, and they're always the one that prays at family gatherings. And surely if God wanted to reach other people, they would use him, would use her, not me. And so we go down this rabbit trail, and we just end up doing nothing. Can I tell you? This, maybe. We believe that God has too high of standards, but that's just religion. That's not God. God has equipped all of us to be the church, right? When we look back at the 2 servants at the beginning, the 2 were given different amounts, one more, one less, and the one that had more got more, the one that had less had less. But the response of the master was the exact same. Well done. Because you did with what you had, with who you are. And so this idea that we have to compare ourselves to a standard that we really don't even know what it is, that's just religion telling you need to be more to make a difference. It's not God. That's the enemy. Those are half-truths. The enemy is at a seat at your table. It's not God. You are good enough. And you know why you're good enough? Because you're not good enough. I'll explain. So, you have never saved anyone. You have never freed anyone. Matthew Trexler has never saved anyone. I have never freed anyone. But we all know the one who does. And so our simple job is just to point. to the one who does. Maybe if that's not you, second reason you may not invest in others is because we're not willing to take risks. We're not willing to take risks. And you know why we often don't take risks, especially when it comes to investing people? Nope, I went back. Never mind. People are messy. People are messy. You see, the servant was told that he was condemned because he was a play it safe, because he just stuck with what he had and kept it. Too often, we think people are too messy, and so we don't do anything with it, right? People are messy. We know that. Spend enough time at a family reunion, at a Friday afternoon in an elementary school classroom, scrolling on social media, you realize that people are selfish, that people are often thankless, that long-term things and people are long-term get boring and less fruitful and less fun in the middle. That when people are hidden behind a screen, that they'll be more volatile and won't use a filter. And oftentimes we think, yeah, those people are messy, but me, yeah, I'm messy, but like, I understand why I'm messy. Like, it's because of this reason, it's this reason, but those people are messy. And so we distance ourselves. We say, okay, I'm gonna stick to Jesus, me, my family, and the people that have always been a part of my life, right? Because Jesus and me Christianity, individual, it's just private Christianity. That allows people to fit into our schedule. That allows us not have to be vulnerable and share uncomfortable emotions. That causes us to figure out when we exert energy and not have to exert energy when we don't want to. People are messy. And so we step back and say, Jesus and me, Christianity is the gospel. But I read this in a devotional. I read this. Individualism is playing it safe. Pouring out to others is going out on a limb. Yeah, Jesus and me, Christianity, that's safe. But people are worth the risk. The devotional went on to say this. Said this. And don't worry about having to write this all down. This is in the app. Your walk with God is designed to be a community project. Anonymous, consumerist, isolated, independent, self-sufficient. Jesus and me, Christianity, is a distant and distorted facsimile of the faith of the New Testament. Moreover, we think we know ourselves, and we think we're okay forgetting the power of sin. That's why the church, for many of us, is nothing more than a thing to attend on a Sunday. It's a formal set of activities. It's a buffet of regularly scheduled, demographically designed religious offerings. It's a place where music can be enjoyed and sermons can be heard. It's a place that connects us to worldwide missions. It provides wholesome activities for our children. But church, to us, isn't an independent, web-together community of personally focused love and grace for us all. But the Bible's clear. We need to live an intentionally intrusive, Christ-centered, grace-driven, redemptive community. It's not a luxury. It's a spiritual necessity. So the question is, are you webbed in? Are you webbed in? Because I talked about we celebrated baptisms up here. We had 4 boys that were part of this boys' life group that ran from the baseball tournament across the street, sprinted here, smelled like they had sprinted here and just come from a baseball game, but were still up there because they knew how big a moment this was for Jagger and Jason, didn't want to miss it. They're webbed in. They're a part of a Christ-centered, grace-driven, redemptive community. They know it's a spiritual necessity because they have seen it. Are you webbed in? Are you webbed in? Because Jesus and me, Christianity, is just not the gospel. It allows us to be safe. It allows us not to take a risk. It allows us not to be uncomfortable, but people are worth it. A third reason that's kind of similar, also this too. We can invest in people because we too are messy. Right? It said, oftentimes we forget how sinful we are. We forget how far we have been from God and how far we still are. we can invest in messy people too because we are still messy. And when we were messy, someone invested in us. We also don't invest in others because we don't want to be responsible. We want to be responsible for others. You see, the verse that the third servant said, he said, so I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here it is, what belongs to you. I didn't lose it. But that verse can be better translated to, I am not responsible for this any further. I think of Pontius Pilate here. My hands are clean. Right? Because we live in a society of terminally casual relationships. We talk about politics, the weather, sports like it's our job, but under a facade that is far from who we actually are. We don't want to get down the muck with people. We don't want to say we're not okay. We don't want to let people into our life because letting people into our life requires that we're responsible for them. We want to be with people in crisis at the time of crisis, but when everyone else moved on, we want to move on too. We have to be responsible for people because Jesus and me, Christianity is safe, but someone was also responsible for you. Don't live in terminally casual relationships. Be responsible for people. Let people in. Take the responsibility because people are worth it. And the last reason, we don't invest in others because we think what we're doing is too small. We see like those America's Got Talent moments of the big life change that gets the golden buzzer, right? We see the Today Show where there's the teacher that completely changed her classroom by investing all this hour and all this time. And we read in the Bible, we think of like what Jesus did with Peter and Elijah did with Elisha. And we think that is investing in others. And what I'm doing is just serving in the K1 room on a Sunday morning. Yes, all of that is investment. But investing in others too is buying coffee for someone out of the blue. That's not someone you would normally buy coffee for. That did nothing to deserve it. Investing in others is that card you send to someone, not because it's their birthday, just because you were thinking about them. Investing in others is that text to say, hey, I'm glad you're my friend. Investing in others is showing up to the soccer game of the kid that is in your ministry that you're serving with. Investing in others starts with the small. Jesus said our faith is mustard-sized after all, right? Shouldn't our investments start the same? The master said this to the first two servants. He said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling the small amount, so I will give you many more responsibilities. Two things here. The first, again, the same statement, not because of how much they got, but because they multiplied themselves, because they did something with what they had done. So God's not saying, evaluating big versus small, he's looking at effort. Two, our small turns to many more responsibilities the more you invest in the small. You can't stay in the small, but you got to start with the small to get to many more responsibilities. So when I was in my junior year of college, I was having a really rough time with this concept, actually, because investing in others in the small requires two things that I really don't like: patience and not getting recognition for it, right? I want to be recognized for what I'm doing in the life of someone and recognized quickly. I love the idea of the words, "You've changed my life." And so I hadn't been getting that. And so I distanced myself from people. I was frustrated that people were messy and forgot that I was a messy person. And I'm not saying this was righteous frustration, but then I had my friend Michael show up to my door with this trophy right here and a note that said, "You look like you need to win today, so here's a trophy for saying you're winning at being my friend." That was it. This is a $2 trophy from Amazon of a bowler. Like, this is not anything special. But this trophy still sits in my office to this day, almost 4 years later. Because investment starts as small, even when you have to be patient, even when you have to not get recognized. And so I'm landing the plane here by two ways that you can. Okay, I've talked about how we don't invest in others, why we don't, and why those aren't true. Okay, how do we invest in others? The first, we invest through prayer. Through prayer. You see, I was at kids camp this year, and I had a really cool relationship with a second grader. And we were in the final chapel session, and I was thinking, God told me, hey, you really need to share the gospel with this kid. Not that he is hesitant to the gospel, he's just never had the opportunity before. And I stand here as your pastor to say, out of fear, I didn't do it. I felt helpless. I've never seen this kid again. But then I remember what I can do. Pray. And so I put his name on the cross, then following Sunday, and then took it down and put it on a candle on my desk. And I passed by that candle 20 times, and I have committed to it. Every single time I do it, I'm going to pray for him. And I have not seen any fruit from those prayers, but I'm continuing to. Because investing through prayer is a long term, not just when the crisis happens, when I think about it. No, it's the long haul. Because when we don't pray, we can do all the investing things I've talked about, but without prayer, we're a self-help nonprofit as a church. Prayer brings the Holy Spirit, the gospel, God himself at the forefront. And here at the River, 21 days is the way you can do that. In January, I came with a list of 4 names at 21 days. And I prayed for those 4 names every single day. 2 of those students, I've got to see the fruits of it. 2 of those seem like they're in worse conditions than when I started praying. But you know what? I invested. Invest in that person you keep thinking about by showing up to a church at 6 a.m. praying for their name every single day. That is investment, my friends. But don't just stop at prayer, because we can just pray and then it can still be just Jesus and me Christianity, because we don't have to do anything outside of where we already are. So I'm challenging you, number 2, to invest in the next generation. Now, I'm not just saying this as the youth pastor, I'm saying because it's biblical. Joshua and Moses, Elijah and Samuel, Jesus and Peter. We think of the book of Deuteronomy is Moses proclaiming to the next generation. The book of Proverbs is Solomon writing things to his son. The whole Bible, the whole Old Testament is all about investing in the next generation. When they invest in the people behind them. David even said this. He says, my youth God, you have taught me to this day, I declare your marvelous deeds. Even when I'm old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts for all to come. Even when I'm old and gray, even when I'm not my age, when I don't have the energy, when I don't feel like I'm good enough, I'm gonna invest in your generation. Because Amy talked about it a couple weeks. She said, who has sharpened you? A couple weeks ago. I bet you 100% of you thought of someone that was in your life before you graduated high school. Don't our kids deserve the same? A professor once said this to me. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven belongs to children. If the kingdom of heaven is theirs, the church should be too. The River Church belongs to kids like Jagger and Jace, and the number of kids that's names are on that tank. And the church is more than a building, it's you. And so I don't want you to go someplace you don't have a gifting. If you're like me, every time I go by the toddler room, my heart starts beating a little fast and I get like blurred vision and I dart away. But I love working with middle schoolers. And some of you that love the toddler room, go real quick past my middle school room so you don't get in the middle school stench as you're walking to the toddler room. I don't care what you do, just don't do nothing. It's your call as the church to invest in the next generation till you're old and gray. Tomorrow starts our last week of the summer, and Sunday is Move Up Sunday. A whole new year. Matthew always says, would you give us a year of your life? I'm asking you, would you give us a year to invest in our kids and students? this is the QR code to start. Or you can visit Stephen at the Next Steps desk afterwards. So here we are, the end of our 21 of our Summer at the River series. And we can talk to you, we can equip you, we can give you every passage we know. But now this is what's up. You have to do something. We can't just talk. I don't want to be a church that talks about every single time that the hope of the world is the church mobilized. No, I want to be the church that is mobilized. And so we've given you the skills, we've given you the tools, we have said that you are enough. But now, are you willing to do it? Are you willing? Are you willing to invest in someone? Are you willing to share your faith? Are you willing to pray? And so to my right and my left, there's crosses. And during this last worship song, if there's someone that, as I've been talking, that keeps coming to your mind, put their name on the cross. As a sign, both of you're giving them to Jesus, but you're giving, hey, any responsibility, any hesitancies I may have, I give that to you, God. I surrender myself to you for this person. There's also communion to your right and to your left as an act of worship to God in it. But we're going to end by singing these words that Isaiah wrote in chapter 6. Then I heard a voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I said, here am I. Send me. Who will go for us? You. You are the light of the world. You are salt. You are able to make a difference. You need to invest in other people because the local church mobilized is the hope of the world. I don't want to be a church that's not the hope of the world. I want to be the hope of the world because someone has invested in me. Someone shared their faith with me. You can be that too. You are the light of the world. Don't hide it. Go. Let me pray for us. God, I pray this prayer as a prayer of commission. God, would you send these people out to be your ministers for the gospel? Would you send them to radically invest in others, investing in the small, being responsible for other people, even when they think they're not good enough, they're not enough, God? Would you knock down those walls, God? And would you mobilize River Church to be the light of the world for the 11,000 reasons why? God, when we're sharing our faith, when we're investing in others, when we're serving in the toddler room, God, would it not be us? Would it not be the River Church, but would it be you? Would you be so present in the life of this city? And we surrender to you any ways that you may want to use us for that. Love you, Lord. I pray. Amen.